Live.
Oh, wow.
We are live on
Hello.
Facebook. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name's Jason. I'm a staff member here, and I think you know this guy over here to my left or right on the camera, Reverend Chris Jackson.
If you know me, please inform me as to who I am, because sometimes I forget.
Oh my
God.
goodness. So we're a little early. We're a couple minutes early. That's because we are going to share this feed on our Facebook pages and other groups so that we can gather a big audience so that we can get this information out. So we invite you to do the same. And we're going to start at 6 o'clock, I guess.
Good enough.
Awesome.
Good enough.
So here we go. Let me just do some sharing here. Let's see here. Share.
I was telling Jason I lost my Facebook connection on my phone. It wants me to go through some procedure, which ultimately I probably will go through, but I'm taking my time because I'm kind of enjoying not having access to Facebook on my phone. Now, if I want to get into it, I can go to my computer, but it's just like one less bell to answer.
Yeah, and it's a distraction a lot of times.
Well, you sit down to check it, and we all know this, and you're scrolling through it, and an hour later, you're thinking, what happened?
Yep. Let's see.
So I say, we're all addictive. We just refine our addictions, hopefully,
It's true. It is true.
as we move through life.
Welcome everybody. We are just taking a moment. Kevin Rice just joined.
Hey, Kevin.
We're just taking a moment to share this on some social media groups to give people a chance to check in, and we promise we are going to start in just a few moments. Let's see if I can share it on your page, Chris.
Happy anniversary, Kevin. 2 years today.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Oh wow.
I was the fortunate officiant at the wedding of Kevin and Erin Adams, and it was a beautiful, beautiful day.
It has been that long? 2 years?
I believe it was 2016.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
Wow,
Well, if you haven't noticed,
wow.
time is not slowing down.
No, it is
At
speeding
least
up.
certainly not for me.
It is speeding up. All right, so we have posted this to as many places as we can post it. Welcome again. My name is Jason. I'm a staff member here at Unity on the Bay, and I had the pleasure of talking to Reverend Chris Jackson, our senior minister, and a dear friend of mine. And he's been on this spiritual journey for a long time.
Many years, many decades.
Yeah.
I actually think I was born, I think we're all born on a spiritual journey. Whether we recognize it or not, it's just a matter of waking up to that realization. That, hey, I'm on a spiritual journey.
That's a perfect segue for a question I have for you. Like, do you have to be aware of being on a spiritual journey in order to be on a spiritual journey?
No, you do not. Awareness is not required. Conscious mind is not even really required. It's happening. When I knew you were going to ask me about the spiritual journey, I thought, well, when does it begin? How does it unfold? The spiritual journey is life. So from the moment that, and actually it even precedes, I was going to say from the moment of birth, but it even precedes that, because we are eternal beings. So, and we are spiritual beings. So the journey, I have no idea when it began. I have no idea when it ends. I just know it is a spiritual journey first and foremost.
And what do you think is the purpose of that journey?
Well, it's interesting because I've had a lot of different purposes over the years. They change as I change. I used to think the spiritual journey was more or less about me and me becoming a better person and me helping others to become a better person. And that's a component of it. But now I'm actually to the point of sort of imagining that God is wanting to, and we've had this conversation, God is wanting to experience itself. And the nature of God, and understand, if you're around Unity on the Bay, you know that what I promote is my own personal understanding and belief system, which is all I have. But I never encourage other people to just adopt it for the sake of adopting it. Question it. You have to find this for yourself. And now I completely forgot what the question was, but
we were talking about spiritual journeys and how, well, we already talked about the awareness of it, and you don't really need an awareness, but what is the purpose really of a spiritual journey?
So it's I believe in part God, experiencing God through the human format. And more recently I began to believe that the nature of God is perpetual expansion. And so
I love that.
we are the vehicles through which this expansion takes place, because we're born into this bizarre human condition with all of its variety and diversity. And in every moment we're making choices and decisions about what pieces of that diversity we want to embrace and what pieces we choose not to incorporate into our awareness or our focus. And through those choices, we're actually expanding God.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that, because it encompasses everything. It leaves nothing out, and it totally says that God is everything.
Which is a fact,
yeah,
I believe.
Because how can there not be anything but God? So thank you, Chris. If you're just joining us, we are sitting here with Reverend Chris Jackson, Senior Minister of Unity on the Bay, and we are talking about spiritual journeys. And we're taking your questions. We're live, so if you have any questions about spiritual journeys, about spirituality even, or just any questions come up, ask them. I can't guarantee we'll be able to answer them. Because what, Chris? We don't really know anything, right?
That's right.
We just do our best.
And that was a great line to promote questions. You know, ask the people that don't know anything.
We will do our best, really. Hey Juan, we see that you joined, and he says, my amazing spiritual teacher and mentor.
Love him with all of my heart.
Yeah, he is a great guy. Reverend Juan is our associate minister here at Unity on the Bay. So
our brilliant
associate
minister.
Indeed, indeed.
He is brilliant.
Aaron Moore joined.
Hey, Aaron.
Aaron is another powerful man.
Yes, he is.
Carmen. Hey, Carmen. We did tea time last week.
Yeah. I follow in some difficult footsteps. She's a wonderful lady.
Yes, she is. And Tommy's joining us as well.
Tommy!
So, since none of you have posed any questions yet, we'll just keep yakking, right?
Good enough. Good enough.
So, what, Chris, one of the things I'm interested in is, do spiritual journeys necessarily have to have a component of suffering?
No, I don't think so. I think suffering is a choice. And some people would like to shoot me for saying that because it sounds insensitive. And I get that. But I have only my own life context to look at. And I look at the places where I have suffered the most, and I realize that it may not have been a conscious choice, but that I had invested in certain beliefs, I had invested in certain ways of being, that when it came time for them to evolve, like everything is evolving, I was resistant. And I chose not to move in the flow of life. And that resistance was the cause of my suffering. And inevitably, in every case of suffering, I got to the place where it was either surrender or suffer to the point of maybe not even any longer being able to be here. And so I was pushed, you could say even I don't think the word is forced, strongly encouraged by the universe, by infinite intelligence, to let go. And the moment that I would let go, I found I was at peace. So I realized it was my choice to resist. It was my choice to, and it's not, I'm not trying to lack compassion, because I do completely get how difficult it can be to let go. But it is only in that holding on. It's like I sometimes think of life as being an ascending staircase, and you have a railing to hold on to, and it helps you. The railing helps you to ascend the staircase, keeps your balance, and but there comes a point where if you want to make the next step on that ascending staircase, you have got to let go of that railing. And you might be afraid to let go of it because you might think you're going to fall or lose your balance or whatever, so you're hesitant to let go. But since life is forever an ascending spiral, you must let go, ultimately. Well, the sooner that you can let go, naturally, the faster you're going to ascend the staircase. And what you find is there's another railing there to grab a hold of. And I'm not trying to sound spiritually arrogant in any way, because I know the dangers of that, but I've just learned more and more through the suffering and through the letting go that there will always be another piece of the railing I can grab a hold of. And it's always right there waiting for me. And it's so much easier to ascend a staircase gracefully. I let go, I take hold of something new, I let go, as opposed to this, oh, you know, my nature is to ascend, to move forward, but I can't do it because I won't let go. So it's the decision not to let go, not to release, that creates resistance, that creates, I believe, suffering.
So there's always, so I love that analogy of always reaching for the railing, but what I hear you're saying is even that new railing that you're reaching for, eventually you're going to have to let go of.
Oh yeah.
In your evolution.
That's why you have to be very careful about beliefs. Because there's something in the human mindset that likes to make absolutes out of beliefs. So, all right, this is the way it is, and I'll defend it until I die. Very dangerous place to hang out, you know, really. Very
dangerous. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I catch myself all the time. All the time. Always, forever, never. They're all, as Martha says, portals to hell.
Yeah. She's going to be with you next week.
Yeah, she's going to be here with me next
And
Monday.
with all of us this weekend.
Yep.
Awesome lady, Martha Creek. This Sunday, Unity Other Bay, 9:30, 11:15.
That was not a deliberate plug. But we do love Martha if she's watching out there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, so let's see if anybody has written anything here. Wow, we got 21 people watching us. Isn't this great? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. So, I'm backing up here to see Kevin Rice says expectations equals suffering.
Yes, sir.
Ain't that true?
Yes, sir.
And then Reverend Juan says, well, since I mentioned the idea of mentor, what do you think is the relationship of mentoring someone as part of a spiritual journey? How does it relate? How does it support it? Are there any traps to be conscious of?
Wow, that's a big question, Juan. Put me to the test. There are traps. I'm going to answer that one first. And the biggest trap, and you don't just like recognize it and never fall into it again. The biggest trap is that in a mentoring position, you feel like you're there to somehow impart wisdom through experience, which is noble. You know, like I want to share my experience with you, and I'm not saying that that couldn't be done, but to recognize that we are not really here to offer instruction or mentoring in terms of what has worked successfully for us or even for a mass of people. But rather, the mentor, to me, the wise mentor is always saying or reminding the individual that the resource base that they need is already contained within them. So the question becomes, what are you doing to open your awareness to this vast, infinite inner resource through prayer, through meditation, through contemplation, through just contemplating that all this exists within you. And then the mentor, through constantly pointing the finger to go within, to look within, to recognize what you already have. I'm not here to give you anything, but I am here to remind you of what you have. And to trust that, which is a beautiful thing. And it runs so contrary to the conditioning of the world, which tells you you don't have anything in here. It's that Eric Butterworth calls it, Eric Butterworth, a renowned Unity minister, calls it the begging bowl mentality. You arrive on the planet, you have absolutely nothing. You're given this bowl, and you have to go around and beg for people to fill it up with the resources that you need. So in that sense, you would go to a mentor and say, fill me up, you know. I don't have anything. So I need your wisdom, I need your guidance, I need your experience. Which is when people come to you and say, I need your guidance, and I need your inspiration, and I need your wisdom and your experience. It's like, yes, I'll be happy to provide that because I'm such a benevolent person.
And then when that advice doesn't work, I guess he's going to catch hell for it.
And I actually think there's an unconscious level of resentment.
Yeah.
Because on some level, we've never forgotten that we contain all of this within us. So what I need you to do is point me in that direction. Remind me of that. And I forget the first part of the question. I know that was the last.
He was talking about what do you think is the relationship of mentoring somebody as part of a spiritual journey?
I think it is, for some reason this is really touching me. I think it is the mentor's responsibility to see, to behold nothing but that perfection that we know is the ultimate reality. And to never see the mentee as in need, as lacking in any way, but only powerful. And that's not always easy to do, because we're all subject to the illusions of human perception. So we can get caught up and buy into those. But the real mentor makes the commitment, no matter what goes on here, I am not going to lose the vision that I know is the spiritual truth of who you are. And we all need somebody in our life that can hold that for us. At least I have found it to be very beneficial.
Well, that's why I love this man. Oh, that was a good answer. Juan, I hope you got a lot out of that.
Juan is a mentor, and he's an excellent mentor.
Yes, he is.
So, mentor to many.
Yes, he is. Mark Anderson, I think we already answered your question because you were talking about, you were asking us to talk more about surrendering and letting go. And is there anything else you want to say about that?
Right now I'm teaching the book In the Flow of Life by Eric Butterworth. And I love the way he puts it. I'll try to be as succinct and brilliant as he is in paraphrasing him. Life is a flow. And when you're running downstream, when you're moving downstream with that flow, everything comes to you in the right way at the right time. You're never lacking. You're never doubting, because you're in that flow. And when you're in that flow, everything comes to you at the right way at the right time. The issue is that in our human conditioning, we have learned to resist that flow. So we have created self-imposed obstacles that inhibit us. It's the same as the illustration of holding on to the railing. We've created these, from A Course in Miracles perspective, illusory obstacles that appear to block our awareness of this flow. And that is, resistance is another word for fear. Now I'm afraid to go with the flow because I can't see where it's taking me, and I don't know who I'll be when I get there. So it's about trusting the flow, because we're in this constant state of evolution, and really using our feeling nature to identify the obstacles that we've created to allowing ourselves to be in this flow. So the way to do that is when you wake up in the morning and it's kind of like, oh, you know, another day, another dollar, or whatever, or even worse yet, my God, I'd rather do anything than get out of bed. You know, it behooves you to identify what the thought makeup is inside of you that is creating that. You let the I don't feel good take you to the thought that's creating I don't feel good, and then that will point you to the self-created obstacle that is blocking the flow of your life. So, and then you at least know what it is, and you have the option, the choice of letting it go. And nothing ever asks us to release unless it's time. And that brings me comfort. It's like, I'm holding on, and I know that I wouldn't be suffering in this holding on except for the fact that I don't have confidence in where the next leg of this journey is going. But I can get in touch with the internal makeup of this obstacle course that I've created. And once that's gone, once you release those obstacles, it's like if you have a stream running and you try to dam it up with rocks, you know, you're going to have that resistant force there. Well, that's what we've done. We've created these human fantasies that have made up these apparent obstacles that seem to be blocking us from the flow. So if we can get to the point of realizing that letting go is natural, it's safe, always, and that we're never being asked to let go of something that it isn't time to release, and that there isn't something waiting in the wings. You know, because for most of us who have been through really difficult and trying experiences, we can look back and say, wow, I thought that was the end. I thought that was the big one. Only to realize that it inevitably took us to a better place. So if we can just remember, okay, I've been down this road before, it is taking me to a better place, if I can just trust that and let go.
Yeah. Do you find that letting go is kind of like a compound effect? Like, did you have a big letting go, and you don't have to get into specifics, that was kind of like when you let go of that, you were like, okay, this is the way to do it?
Yeah, I've had a few of them. And I will spare you the details. But
does it get easier?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because early on, I jokingly said in the Om Hour last night, my first one was 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, at least 10 years. And oh my God, the relief after you've been holding on for 10 years is like, sheesh. But I will say that the more that you go through this and the more you find, yeah, there is something else blooming on my horizon here, then the easier it becomes. It becomes easier, and you can more quickly say, wait a minute, this is a call to let go. Whereas in the early stages of my life, I didn't know that, so I was clinging more tightly and dreadfully insecure.
White knuckles.
Oh my God. Well, because you think it is the end. You think what it's really doing is dismantling the false idea of yourself that you've constructed. But it takes a while to get to know that, because nobody tells you that when you're going through grade school. They're teaching you reading or writing and arithmetic and geometry and algebra, with all due respect, some of which I've never used since. But they don't teach you this kind of stuff.
Yeah, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Almost necessary to navigate life. Oh my goodness, let's see who is on here. Mark, I hope that answered more of your question. Michelle Cavaretta says, I love Reverend Jackson, the only church I ever got. They got me too. I moved away but took God with me, but I miss Unity on the Bay.
Love you too, sweetheart.
Well, that's the great thing about technology. Now you can check in with us whenever. We live stream on Sunday morning, so watch us.
Yes, we do.
Let's see. Kelly Brockmeyer says, I have no questions. You always are ready. You always are already reading my mind on a weekly basis.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for that beautiful message you left me recently.
Yeah.
I really touched my heart, and I actually sometimes keep those messages for those moments when I'm not feeling my own. And that's one I will keep. I treasure it, and thank you very much. Love you.
Maggie Pareto says, Neil Donald Walsh says that about resistance. Margie, we are having Neil Donald Walsh here in March of next year, March 1st. We're just full of plugs
This
today.
is the director of marketing at Unity on the Bay, by the way. But this is not planned. But yeah, he's coming.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing, and I know you might want to scroll some further there, but Neil Donald Walsh has done remarkable work in terms of articulating a lot of this. And one of the things I've noticed, even in just the past 5 years, is that all of these people really, I mean, I guess I've caught it, but I'm really getting it. All of these people are saying the same thing. It's just like all the great religious persuasions of the world, the spiritual persuasions. They've all said the same thing. Different terminology, different approaches, just like we're all different. So we all understand it differently. But that inspires me because I can see where all these different resources, Neil Donald Walsh, Byron Katie, Joel Goldsmith, going back a bit in time, is no longer with us on this plane of expression, Abraham Hicks, Course in Miracles. It's all the same message, and that inspires me because I think all these different resources are pointing us in the same direction. Maybe just the maps look a little different.
Yeah, I'm excited about that as well. And I love Neil Donald Walsh. I think he's amazing. He says something similar to what you're saying, is that God is really just experiencing itself here, and that's the only purpose of all things.
Yeah. And when you get that, you realize, okay, this is God. God is good. And God is having this experience, or this is all part of God. It's really, to me, just a great relief because I realize I'm going to be okay. You know, we're all going to be okay. This is not, and that's important because we've all been indoctrinated with this doomsday mentality that's born out of our sense of inadequacy. You know, it's so interesting to me that we are created in exquisitely. I mean, just look at this interaction we're having. This is amazing. We're created miraculously, and yet we lay this lack and limitation and undeservedness, this brokenness upon this beautiful creation.
Yeah, and this is a good time for me to look into the camera and saying, if you're watching this and you don't think you're worthy, you're not enough, or you're not loved, it's not true. You're you're perfect just the way you are, really. And that's one of the things that I love about Unity, is that we make it almost a practice to see people that way, because we know that it's the truth of who you are. So if Kevin Rice says, if somebody hasn't told you they love you yet today, we love you.
We sure do. It's because we know who you are. You know, we do. And I often tell people, in Unity, we can't guilt them into coming to church. We can't tell you, if you don't come here, God's going to look unfavorably upon you, or you're going to have a consequence after you pass away, which is another interesting fear tactic. Ooh, excuse me, but that's the way I look at it. But what we can say is we all need spiritual community, and we all need to have somebody else into whose eyes we can look and really see the truth of their perfection as made in the image and likeness of God, and support each other.
Absolutely. Oh, Kevin said, I love you too. Margie says, what is a good practice to get more trust?
Well, I think in this game, since we're talking about spiritual journey, there's really only one technique or practice that I know of that works in every case, whether you're trying to build trust or whatever it might be. And that is and I'm not very big on absolutes, but you really have to develop a contemplative life. You have to. You have to withdraw your attention away. If you're looking out here, there's nothing out here to trust. There really is nothing. There's not even a person out here to trust. Sorry.
I won't take that personally.
No! I mean, I love you with all my heart, and I trust you like you can't imagine. But I also know that you are in human format like I am. And that's not something that you can dependably place your confidence in. The things of time and space and materiality you can't place your confidence in them. So my point is, you have to develop a contemplative life, whether you call it prayer, meditation, reflection. You have to do this, and you have to do it on a regular basis, because you see, right now, all of our energy is focused on every minute detail of what's going on out here. And there's a lot calling our attention out here in the world right now. So it's easy to become completely absorbed in it, and it's understandable. But we have to remember that what's happening out here right now is the result of our present state of consciousness being reflected. We're not going to be able to change it in our present state of consciousness. We have to expand our awareness and deepen the realization of ourselves as spiritual beings. Well, you can't do that if you're looking out here all the time. You have got to find a space inside, and it's really not even a technique. There are infinite number of techniques available. It's just, I'm going to chill out. I'm going to dismiss my attention from the compelling illusions going on out here, and I'm going to rest in the awareness of the presence of God within me. And then what happens is you develop a relationship with that internal presence, and it's very powerful. And it's important to do this on a daily basis. Talk about discipline. I know it's tough, especially back in my years of raising a family and stuff. Now it's a little easier because I live alone, and I can wake up in the morning and right there, I mean, I don't waste a moment. I get into my contemplative time as soon as possible, so that the more I go in there, the more it becomes as real as what's going on out here. And ultimately it becomes more real because it is more real. And now I'm developing a relationship with that eternal, real part of myself and that eternal, real part of life. And trust is an automatic response to the awareness of what's going on in the depths of your being. Because you just go, wow, you know, I had no idea that it was this profound and this powerful. And it's like, you just know it's trustworthy. So I encourage, for myself and in my classes and such, I tell people 30 minutes every day, as quickly as you can after waking. And just be comfortable, relax to the best of your ability. You know, you can wake up really uptight.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a hell of a way to start the day, but you can do that. So right there, you nip it in the bud. I am going to start this day in the awareness of the presence of God dwelling within me, and I'm going to allow that to be the tone with which I begin my day. And you will be amazed. You're laying there, sitting there, whatever. You're not doing anything. You're not. Your eyes are closed, and you're just trying to blank out your mind from all the distractions. Breathe deeply, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you come out of it, and if you can't do 30, start with 10. But make it a morning practice religiously. And eventually, all of a sudden, you notice there's stuff changing in your life. You know, suddenly. And I'm serious, it's like magic, but it's not. It might be mystical, it's certainly spiritual, but suddenly, whereas yesterday you didn't have enough money to pay the bills, all of a sudden you look at your bank balance and go, what happened here? I have a little bit of money, I have more money, I have money left over. And you have disharmony with a relationship with a loved one, and you're going at it with each other more than you should, and all of a sudden, this air of peace starts to come into your relationships. It's because you're releasing yourself from strict identity with external forms, and you're starting to identify with the eternal spiritual nature within, and it just impacts every arena of your life. God, peace of mind beyond belief. And it's not because I worked really hard for this, you know, and over years and years. I just relaxed and gave a little time to what might be happening inside of me in a true and lasting way. Very, very powerful. Because it's all about where you're putting your investment. Most of us putting all of our investment out here, then that's what comes back to us. And that's conflict and disharmony and lack and limitation and undeservedness and unworthiness. All the stuff that we were actually raised to believe we were. But when you start putting the investment on the internal world, it's like, wow, that was not who I was at all. I'm this eternal, amazing being.
And that sounds amazing, and something that I think most people would say, wow, I want to do that, but why do you think most people have a problem with sitting down and doing that, even though it's probably the most simple thing you'll do all day?
Number one, because it looks like you're doing nothing.
That's true.
And the world will say, you're doing nothing.
Yep.
And we're conditioned to think that the things of value require effort. I mean, it's part of our conditioning. So, and the second thing is that we're addicted.
To this?
Yeah.
To,
I was going to say, I'm sorry to tell you, Jason, but need to reveal this is an intervention.
I'm addicted to my iPhone.
No, we're addicted to physical reality. We can't take our minds off of it.
Well,
so
compelling.
From the moment we get up in the morning, instead of going within, who the hell has time to go within? Look at all this stuff out here, you know, and so we're addicted to this experience. I mentioned earlier about refining addictions. You can also become addicted to this internal practice.
Wow.
To where you would not, and it doesn't take long, you would not think of walking out your door in the morning. Who was it? American Express, don't leave home without it. Don't leave home without it. You need this. Yeah. This is your natural environment, and it's important to remember it.
Wow. Let's see here what people are saying. Aaron Moore says, trustworthy assists with trusting along with contemplation.
That's Saint Aaron from Unity on the Bay, and I don't use that term lightly.
He is a saint.
He is a saint.
I love that man.
He is a beautiful soul.
Well, we literally have 10 minutes left. Time flies, right?
It does. You told me that.
So if you have any questions about spiritual journeys, what it is to be spiritual, those sort of things, ask your question now, because we have Reverend Chris here, who has been on a spiritual journey forever.
Forever, and always will be.
It always will be. And if you joined us earlier in the talk, you'll know that whether you're aware of it or not, you're on a spiritual journey. Yep. I think that's better to be aware than not, but hey.
It helps because the awareness is the freedom from victimization. As long as you think it's all about what's going on out here, then you're a conditional being. And your state of mind is always subject to the conditions of time and space. And it's, for me anyway, I mean, it was just a really, really difficult way to live. Because you're always out of control, going up and down. Everything's controlling you from the outside. And once you begin to realize it's an internal spiritual journey, now it's like, oh, conditions can do what they like. I don't have to be impacted by them. And a lot of people will say, yeah, right. Tell me you're not impacted by conditions. Well, everything is according to your belief, I believe, which is why it's true for me. And I believe that our investment dictates our return. So, yes, it's definitely. I'll say at least it's a far less dramatic experience. I used to have so much drama in my life. I mean, really, I was the drama queen of all time. Just, whoa, you know, now what am I going to do with this? Everybody help me, help me, help me. Oh, here, and of course people come. Yeah. You know, well, we'll help you out. You know, we've been there, we know. It's like, oh yeah, and it's getting worse before it gets better. And instead of, you know, just peace, be still.
Oh boy, do we love some drama. You know, I mean, we see it on 95 when there's a wreck. Yeah. The rubbernecking. Oh my God, what happened over there?
Well, you see it all over Miami. I love Miami. I do. But I remember the first few months I lived here, I would just drive from Miami Shores down here to Midtown or Edgewater. And because I was a Kansas City boy, you know, I had straw coming out of my ears. And all of a sudden I remember one day there were these two women fighting in the middle of Biscayne Boulevard on the concrete, pulling each other's hair. Oh my God. You don't see that in Missouri. It's like, well, okay.
And you stopped and looked, didn't you?
I didn't look, I was gawking, you know. Just.
It's like our human nature. It's like drama. It's like we want to look at it.
Well, look, we go pay bunches of money to see these terrifying, and no judgment here because I've done it too. I used to be a big Criminal Minds fan. I don't watch it anymore because I just didn't think it was probably helping me a lot. But yeah, we like to go, you know, make me, you know, go to the thrill rides and perpetuate it. And maybe it's just the passing of time and my chronological maturity, but it's like, I don't think I really need that as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I just enjoy simplicity and peace and calm.
I'm there with you. Let's see. Marina says, how to pray. What's a good way to meditate for beginners?
Well, this is my practice. The first thing is to make a brief list. Of course, the most important thing is just to quiet the mind and make yourself as receptive as possible to what I would call infinite intelligence. But to support me in that, I came up with a list of a few words that to me are attributes of the divine. They are peace, joy, life, love, service, and supply. So when I'm in my state of meditation, I just say to myself, and some of this is coming from a new book that I've been teaching lately called The Way of Mastery, that says we actually are the awakened Christ as soon as we believe we are. So I'll spend the first few moments of a meditation usually saying, I am the awakened Christ, expressing as peace. And then just kind of discover what peace is to you on the inside. It's well-being, it's harmony, it's relaxation, it's confidence, it's power. So you dwell with that. Then you go to, these are your own words, whatever you select. I am the awakened Christ, expressing as, in my case, joy, expressing as life, expressing as love, unconditional love, which is a whole nother future show.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I hope you got your answer, Marina.
One more thing. It's important to watch your expectations with meditation. Expect nothing and be happy and know that you were successful if nothing happens. In other words, meditate, come back out, nothing happened. No lights, no colors, no realizations, revelations. It doesn't matter. The result of this experience is none of your business. Just keep doing it.
That's so true. And I'll also share that I usually, if I sit down to meditate, I don't do it for any less than 10 minutes because I find that my mind needs a certain amount of time to calm down.
Yeah.
So like before I would sit down for like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm like, this isn't happening. And I would get up, but it's like dirt in water, really. You need to give it time to settle. So at least 10 minutes for me, but I don't know. I guess everybody's different. I have a very active mind, so it starts going through that laundry list of things I need to do.
You know, no one watching can relate to you right now, Jason. And look, the world is doing that. It's getting, I think it's holding on tighter because we're ready to let go. And so your mind wants to hold on. What about this and what about that? And I got to get this stuff done today, and I don't have time to sit here and do nothing.
No. Dale Stein joined us.
Hey,
Welcome.
Dale!
Dale.
Universe's most phenomenal music ministry director. You know, I just put a plug in for the people that are here at Unity on the Bay. And we know this. And I'm looking at one of them right here. What amazing people. And we are so blessed to be together serving this community.
Yeah.
An amazing community. I have known many Unity communities in the course of my life, and I've never found one quite like Unity on the Bay. And I'm not saying that as senior minister.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that as, wow, remarkable people.
Yeah, I've met some amazing people in this community. And if you haven't been here, please come check us out. I think you'll think the same. Just spend some time here on Sunday morning. Yeah. The energy is, wow, it'll knock you off your feet. Let's see here. Carol McCoy says, how do you forgive others? Ooh, I knew forgiveness was going to come in here eventually. How do you get the anger out of your head?
Well, first of all, you get the anger out of your head by feeling it. I wish I could say that you didn't have to do that, but you have to find a healthy way to feel the anger and go into the anger. A healthy way and a safe way to do that. Because as long as you're resisting the anger, it'll just sit there and perpetuate. And so you have to, first of all, embrace the anger, and you have to feel it and express it in safe and healthy ways. And then, my teaching on forgiveness, which is not my teaching, comes from a conglomeration of things, primarily, I would say, Course in Miracles and unity. And this is a tough one for people to swallow, including me at times. Either there is one presence and there's one power, it's God and it's good, or there isn't. Mm-hmm. If it isn't, we've nothing to worry about. We're all going to hell anyway. So
that's true.
Just might as well enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
But if there is only one presence and one power, then that means that everything that comes to us, every occurrence, is an opportunity to receive a blessing. And it can take a long time. When I was talking about the 10 years earlier, I was talking about a forgiveness issue. It took 10 years for me to get to the other side and be able to say, wow, I see clearly now that really did bless me. To be able to arrive at the point where you can actually thank the perpetrator. And I know this is really sensitive and delicate, but ultimately our aim, I believe, should be, I'm not going to let this go until I receive the blessing that is in it for me, and I believe there's a blessing in everything. One of the things that's been helpful for me will come from your friend Neil Donald Walsh, who the last time he was here said something, and I was just like, and that doesn't happen to me very often, but he really gogged me. I was just like, what?
I think I know what it is, but go ahead.
He said, there is no such thing as forgiveness, really, and there's no need for forgiveness. And you know this. The call is to understanding. If we could understand how the people who have been so cruel to us, if we could understand the context out of which they were behaving and acting, we would see, as Course in Miracles says, that it's a call to love. Not an easy call to love. If someone's violated you, and I'm not saying you need to, please hear me, I'm not saying we need to stay in these abusive situations. We do not. We are a doormat to no one. But to be able to just recognize, wow, imagine what this individual must have been going through in order to demonstrate that level of behavior. At least we can begin to have a level of understanding that may ultimately cultivate into compassion, that may ultimately cultivate into love. And I'm happy to say that my 10-year experience, on the other side of that, there is now a level of love and appreciation and understanding that while I felt completely victimized, I was actually being liberated.
Wow.
And that this other person, this soul, had the ability to lead me into that liberation was a very unpleasant but necessary and priceless gift.
Possibly doing for you what you might not have done for yourself, at least for a very long time.
I wouldn't have, because I was clinging to the railing out of fear.
Wow.
And I didn't realize that it was clinging to the railing that was causing the fear and the suffering. I thought it was all about the other person. You can't relate to that. No one can. I thought all these people were doing all these terrible things to me, and actually all they were doing was setting me free.
I laugh because I just picture you holding on to that railing.
Oh
and
God,
just
it
the universe
was
coming, ping,
really, it was. And that was only after somebody was putting a hacksaw to my knuckles. Like, well, I guess I better let go here, because either way I'm going to die.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.